Welcome to the Rise to Intimacy podcast. I'm your host, Valerie McDonald, and for over a decade, I've worked as a sex and couples therapist because intimacy used to feel really overwhelming for me. I felt a lot of pressure to perform, I was disconnected from my body, and I often felt like desire was out of reach for me. But through my own trauma work, I stopped checking out of my body and started feeling connected to it again. I learned what it's like to experience intimacy without fear, without shutting down, and without numbing out. Now I'm on a mission to help you do the same thing. This podcast exists because trauma doesn't get the last word. You can learn how to calm your body, change the story you've been carrying, and rebuild real connection. First with yourself and then with the people you love. Let's begin. Today we're talking about one of the most common and most painful relationship cycles I see in my practice, the pursue-withdraw cycle. So if you've ever felt like you're chasing connection while your partner is shutting down, or you're the one who gets overwhelmed and pulls away because nothing you do feels good enough, then you're not alone. This cycle doesn't mean your relationship is broken, though. It means your nervous systems are trying to protect you in opposing ways. Today's episode will help you understand why you fall into this dynamic, what's happening beneath the surface, and we're going to talk about 4 powerful trauma-informed strategies supported by research that will help you break this cycle for good, using the same tools I teach my private clients. So let's dive in. The simplest way to understand the pursue-withdraw cycle is that when a disconnection happens, whether that's emotional or sexual, one partner moves toward the relationship to close the gap. We'll call this person the pursuer. And one partner moves away to reduce overwhelm or conflict. We typically call this person the withdrawer, but with my southern accent, I'm going to refer to this person as the person who withdraws. So neither role is bad or wrong per se. Both roles are actually protective strategies that started long before your relationship did. So your nervous system has 2 primary goals: connection and safety. And when disconnection is triggered, typically sex isn't happening, someone may feel unheard, somebody else may feel criticized, and then your body chooses the strategy that has worked for you in the past. So pursuers typically learn, if I don't speak up, I won't be seen, or I won't get my needs met. Or it can also be, if I don't resolve this conflict now with my partner, they're going to leave me. This typically comes up if there is any fear of abandonment wound that has not been resolved. Whereas the person who withdraws typically learns, if I don't shut down or pull away, things will only get worse and nothing will ever be solved. In order to break this cycle, you have to learn to regulate your body. And we also got to look underneath the surface of the conflict and dive into the deeper wounds being unspoken. This is stuff like your attachment history, your early modeling, your relationship with conflict and intimacy and desire, because we want to better understand the triggers that are sparking this cycle. Now, my clients are smart, self-aware, emotionally intelligent adults, yet the cycle still pulls them under. Because high-achieving couples bring high expectations, a history of performing in life, shame around not having it all figured out, deep-rooted fear of failure, and often a lot of unspoken expectations that unintentionally add pressure around sex. And when sexual intimacy fades or communication breaks down, high-achieving couples don't just experience disconnection. They experience a threat to their sense of self. So then the pursuer thinks, why am I too much for you? Or even, why am I not good enough for you? And the person who withdraws thinks, I never do anything right. But this isn't a communication issue. This is a nervous system and attachment issue. So let's discuss 4 steps you can start taking today to break this cycle. Tip 1 is regulate before you relate. because you cannot solve a cycle that only exists inside dysregulated bodies. So before responding to your partner, before pursuing them, or before shutting down, pause and regulate. You can give yourself at least 20 minutes so that you can rebalance your nervous system. And during this time, you want to do something like move your body, take a walk outside the house, take a walk inside the house if you need to. Pay attention to your breathing. See if you can slow that down. Find that anchor within you that you always have, which is your breath, and just Google breathing techniques for anxiety if you want. There's going to be so many options. Pick one that works the best for you and learn a technique to slow your breathing down in the moment of distress. You can also be more present with your body and therefore help it to slow down by putting one hand on your chest and then one on your belly, and then ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Then you want to name out loud or just inside your mind, I'm feeling activated, but I'm safe and I can slow down. Or you can choose some other phrases that work for you. But that is a good one to go to because in that moment, we're being present. We're noticing what's happening right now. We're giving ourselves reassurance. And we're telling ourselves we know that we can do something different. So why all that works is because a regulated body makes rational decisions that promote connection. And that alone will disrupt the cycle. Tip 2 is we want to name the pattern out loud. So the pursue-withdrawal cycle loses power when couples can see it happening in real time and then bring awareness to it. So give the cycle a name, something neutral like the dance or the loop. Then say, I think we're in the cycle. Not, you're shutting down again, babe, or you're overthinking this. We want to call out the pattern and not call out our partner. So this works because here we're going to be externalizing the issue. This will move you from adversaries to teammates, and we want to be studying the shared pattern together. So we're two teammates externalizing the problem, and we're tackling it together. And this is where attachment wounds can stop driving the bus. Now in tip 3, we're going to say what we're protecting, not what we're fighting about. So what's really happening underneath the pursue-withdrawal cycle is the pursuer isn't trying to start a fight. They're trying to answer a painful question, which is something like, do I still matter to you? Whereas the person who withdraws, they're not avoiding on purpose. They're trying to escape another painful question, which is something like, why do I always feel like I'm failing you? But couples almost never say those things. Instead, they'll be arguing about the dishes or someone's tone of voice or their frequency of sex or who initiated sex last time or who is contributing more to the household responsibilities. But typically, none of those things are the real issue. And so healing begins when we stop leading with our defenses and we start speaking from our fears. Because the behavior there is a strategy, but the emotion underneath is where the real truth lies. So instead of saying something like, you never talk to me anymore, the pursuer can say something like, when you pull away, I start to feel invisible and scared that I don't matter to you. And the person who withdraws, instead of them saying, you're always unhappy with me, they can say something like, when things feel tense, I shut down because I'm afraid I'll say the wrong thing and then make it worse. So when we get to this point in therapy, voices start to soften and shoulders drop and couples stop arguing against each other and start understanding each other. Not because the problem just magically disappeared, but because for the first time, both people are feeling seen and heard instead of blamed. And so when this safety returns, the cycle loses its grip. Now for tip 4, we want to create a repair ritual for after a cycle occurs, because cycles will happen again. The goal here is not perfection. The goal is to develop the ability to repair and resolve conflict, and therefore prevent the pattern from continuing and resentments from formulating. And reconnection isn't about proving who is right. It's about reminding each other that even after a rupture, you can find your way back. You can do this gently, honestly, and without losing yourselves. So create some simple and consistent rituals to reconnect. Here are some examples. The first one is the I'm back signal. So each partner names a clear, nonverbal signal that means I'm regulated enough to reconnect now. Some examples can be just sitting next to each other on the couch or lightly touching each other's arms, because this will help the person who withdraws return without being rushed, and it reassures the pursuers without any chasing needing to happen. Another ritual you can do is one on a sentence about the cycle. So each partner here will complete a sentence something like, when we get stuck in this cycle, I notice I start to fill in the blank. So we're not going to be blaming here. We're just raising awareness to what occurs with us. This will keep the focus on the cycle as the problem and not on your partner. The micro repair agreement is another example of a ritual you and your partner can create. So here, each partner names one small thing that helps them feel reassured after conflict. Examples can be sending me a text before I go to bed, sitting next to me, even if we're not talking at this moment, telling me you love me, either when we're together or it could be through text. Because repair doesn't have to be dramatic, it just has to be effective. You can also do something called the reconnection question, where you can ask one gentle question to your partner. Something like, what would help you feel a little closer to me right now? So not later, not forever, but just right now. And this will build attunement and flexibility, which are core ingredients for desire to return. All these tips rewire insecure attachment patterns over time and help build the emotional safety required for desire, pleasure, and intimacy to return. And if you recognize yourself in this cycle, I want you to know 2 things. You're not broken, and you don't have to keep repeating the pattern. This is exactly the work I guide couples through every week, helping them identify their attachment patterns, regulate their nervous systems, communicate without triggering each other, and rebuild intimacy that feels safe and sexy. If you'd like to take a deeper dive into this, head over to my website, risetointimacy.com, and book a consultation with me. Thanks for listening to the Rise to Intimacy podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, know that healing is possible and you don't have to do it alone. If you're enjoying the show, please leave a rating and review for us at ratethispodcast.com/rise. It really helps others find us, and I'm so grateful for all your support. You can learn more about my coaching packages for individuals and couples at risetointimacy.com. And remember, sex therapy isn't for people who are broken. It's for people brave enough to look beneath the surface.